That day, my husband brought home a girl, the daughter of his mistress, begging me to let her mother into our household. That dog of a man! He eats my food, drinks my wine, uses my possessions, and still keeps a mistress on the side? I decided to grant their family of 3 their wish and return to my parents' home with my $1 million dowry. Madam, please let my mother join our household. We'll work ourselves to the bone to serve you faithfully. The kneeling little girl had an oval face, barely 5 or 6 years old, yet her eyes and brows bore an uncanny resemblance to Lucy's. Counting the time. Lucy had this daughter in the 3rd year after my family took him in. Rise. Lucy's face darkened as he scooped the girl into his arms. Madam Tao, your failure to bear an heir these 3 years is already a grave disgrace. You would do well to accept Yun as a co-wife now. Otherwise, I shall have no choice but to grant you a divorce decree. Hearing the words divorce decree, I nearly burst out laughing. How dare Lucy speak of divorcing me? The mansion he lives in, the clothes he wears, the meals he eats daily, all are from my dowry. Even his life was saved by my father. Think carefully about this. Lucy turned and walked away, cradling Yue. I watched them go, only to meet the little girl's gaze. Just moments ago she looked pitifully vulnerable, but now she was winking at me defiantly. Good heavens, never in my life had a little girl given me such a sharp look. What on earth will the future hold? Young lady, they've gone too far. Let's go tell the master. He'll surely stand up for us. I hadn't cried from anger, but Chui nearly had. She'd grown up with me since childhood, as close as a sister. Silly girl, he's the newly crowned top scholar now. What could my father possibly do to him? Just 2 months prior, Lucy had won the top rank in the imperial examinations. And we, the Tao family, were mere merchants. That's why he was so eager to bring his concubine back. And we just let them walk in? It was our master who funded his education for the imperial exams. How dare he treat you like this? My father was the wealthiest man in the capital, kind-hearted and generous. He regularly sent food and drink to the orphanage, even sponsoring gifted children to study for the exams. Lucy was one of those he supported. When Lucy passed the provincial exams at 13, my father, desperate for a son, was overjoyed. He wrote to me, declaring Lucy would be my husband. I was traveling through the southern provinces at the time and paid it little mind. 3 years later, upon my return to the capital, my father insisted I marry him immediately. Lucy was handsome and well-mannered, showering me with constant care and concern. To spare my father worry, I gritted my teeth and married him. But soon after the wedding, Lucy revealed his true colors. He grew sullen and distant, staying away for days at a time, openly and covertly implying I was barren. I didn't care much, my marriage was meant only to appease my father. But now, I can't tolerate it anymore. After living in luxury for so long, does he truly believe it's his rightful due? Early the next morning, I encountered Yun Young, Lucy's concubine. She appeared so delicate and fragile, as if a breeze could knock her over, truly pitiable. Have you made up your mind? Lucy held Yue in his arms while Yun Young clung to his side, a sight of 3 that was truly pleasing to the eye. I have. I nodded. Good. Lucy's lips curved into a satisfied smile. You come from a merchant family and never should have been my lawful wife. But since you endured hardship with me, I won't cast you aside. From now on, you and Yin Yang will be equals. Learn from her the 3 obediences and 4 virtues, and how to manage household affairs. Men truly are fickle. I suddenly recalled before our marriage, when he gazed at me deeply and said, Tao Tao, you are the most gentle, virtuous, and capable woman I have ever met. I shuddered, then called out to Yin Yang, who was about to curtsy. Lucy thought I wanted her to refrain from the formalities and, in a rare moment of praise, remarked, if only you'd been this obedient earlier. I've made up my mind. I took the divorce papers from Chuyi's hands and handed them to him. Sign them. Divorce me. Lucy's expression darkened instantly at the word divorce. He gritted his teeth. You want a divorce? Yes. I nodded. I also feel that my merchant background makes me unworthy of you. If we divorce, you won't have to make Yin Yang suffer as a secondary wife. Lu Xi laughed bitterly, his anger turning to scorn. After a long pause, he spat, "Divorce? Impossible. Only a written repudiation will do. My father funded your education and imperial examinations, granting you every wish. Yet you squandered that money on mistresses, divorcing your wife for a common prostitute. If this scandal reaches the censor's ears, I doubt you'll keep your official post. My father always said officials cherish their reputations above all. No matter their private conduct, they must maintain appearances." Lu Xi worked hard to climb to his current position. He'd never risk ruining his future. Merchants truly are lowly and despicable. Lu Xi's face darkened, and after a long pause, he finally managed to say this. I nodded. "Therefore, I am unworthy of you. If you seek a divorce, then leave. I'll have the divorce papers delivered to the Tao residence." Lu Xi snorted coldly. "But don't regret it. If you ever wish to return, you'll only be fit to be a lowly concubine." I turned and walked away with Chu Yi, rolling my eyes out of his sight. Who knows who'll regret it? I'd be insane to become his concubine. I had someone watch as Lu Xi sent a servant to deliver the divorce papers to the Tao residence before instructing my servants to pack my belongings. As my father's only daughter, he feared I'd suffer hardship after marriage. My dowry amounted to nearly $1 million. But aside from the residence, everything else was gold. Bar after bar of gold was packed into crates, emptying an entire vault. Had I not intervened, my father would likely have drained the other vaults too. As he put it, since I hadn't learned business, a shop would be useless. Cash was better. If I ever ran short, I could always come home and take more. Now, instead of going back to my parents' home to collect more, I'm moving back there altogether. Miss, with all this, it'll take days to move, won't it? Chu Yi looked troubled. Are we going back today? Yes. I glanced at the darkening sky, feeling quite cheerful. We'll leave now. Let them take their time moving. We'll be back in time for dinner. My father should be home by now. Seeing the divorce papers would surely worry him. It's the perfect time to go back and explain. Chu and I strolled leisurely toward the exit. Just as we reached the garden, we collided head-on with an anxious Yin Yang and a grim-faced Lu Xi. "Madam Tao, what are you doing? If you want to leave, just go. Who gave you permission to take things from the house?" Lu Xi unleashed a barrage of accusations. "Make them bring everything back immediately. Sister, even if you're dissatisfied with me, you couldn't possibly do something like this. If this goes to court, you'll be accused of embezzling your husband's property. That's a crime punishable by imprisonment." Yin Yang wiped away tears, her face streaked with rain-like tears. I smiled at Yin Yang and asked softly, "Did Lu Xi not tell you? These are my dowry. When he first came to our home from the orphanage, he didn't even have a single complete set of clothes. All these years, his food, clothing, education, imperial examinations, and even raising you, his concubine, it's all been paid for with Tao family money." Her words froze Yin Yang in place. I turned to Lu Xi beside her. "Right, my ex-husband?" Lu Xi's breathing grew ragged, likely from fury. "Who wants this filthy money? Don't sully the Lu family's name. Take it all away." This was exactly what I'd been waiting for. Grabbing Chu Yi's hand, I turned and walked out. Before leaving, I specifically instructed the steward, not a single item should be left behind. As for this mansion, sell it through the estate broker immediately. Keeping it would bring nothing but bad luck. My father was a man of impatience. Worried he might be upset, I pondered how to explain things, only to learn upon returning home that he'd been called away on urgent business to Jiangnan that very day. The matter had arisen so suddenly he hadn't had time to inform me. This was a blessing in disguise. With the divorce finalized and no one to oversee me, I dragged Chu Yi out to explore the entire capital the very next day. We feasted on the all-fish banquet at Fan Tower, bought new jewelry at Tianjin Pavilion, and listened to melodies at Washi Theater. Lord Lu, I'm afraid I can't extend credit any further. You've already been given 3,000 taels on credit. It's simply not possible. Might we settle this account today? When have I ever failed to pay my debts? Don't you know who I am? Did you not hear me tell you to deliver the bill to my residence? Lu Si's voice. I opened my eyes and had Chewy pull back the curtain. Sure enough, Lu Si was arguing with the manager on the veranda. Lord Lu, that may have been acceptable before, but not now. Our young mistress has ordered that your debts are yours, and hers are hers. The steward's words were polite, but the disdain on his face was anything but courteous. Lord Lu, you are a man of scholarly merit. Surely you wouldn't default on a mere 3,000 taels? I couldn't help but laugh. Lu Si reveled in the pleasure money brought, yet looked down on merchants for haggling over every coin. My father and I had never cared about such trifles. Whatever he spent, the accounts office paid directly. You. Lu Si pointed at the steward, flushed crimson, yet speechless for a long moment. Lord Lu, hurry up, the steward urged with a smile. Lu Si finally lowered his finger and began rummaging through his robes, only to produce a few scattered silver coins. He lifted his head, his gaze drifting through the crowd in search of someone to cover the cost. Before I could signal Chi to draw the curtain, he spotted me directly. Spotting me, Lu Si immediately rushed over, likely afraid of drawing attention. He even pulled the curtain shut as he approached. Madam Tao, did you instruct the steward? Lu Si looked down at me with contempt in his eyes. Does your father know what you've done? Tell that steward to leave immediately. You're haggling over a few measly coins? How did you become this? You know very well that's my father. This is my family's estate. I propped my chin up, a faint smile playing on my lips. We're divorced now. You come here to enjoy yourself, isn't it only right you pay? As for those measly coins, I'm sure Lord Lu wouldn't even blink paying them. My words left Lu Si speechless. Thankfully, after all these years together, I've come to understand his nature. It's only 3,000 taels. Do you think I can't afford that? Lu Si swept his sleeve and turned to leave, but I quickly called after him. What? Begging me? Playing hard to get? Never thought you'd resort to that trick. Lu Si sneered coldly. If you'd been more obedient, there might still be a place for you in the Lu family. In the future. Hold on. I couldn't bear to listen anymore. Lord Lu, I'm merely reminding you, my dowry estate has been sold. Out of respect for our marriage, I've told the buyer to give you 3 days to move out. Since we've run into each other here, I'll just tell you now to save me another trip. Lu Si's smile faltered. That residence is mine. It belongs to the Lu family. It bears the Lu family name. That was before our marriage. My father saw you had nowhere to live and let you stay temporarily, I kindly reminded him. When I married, Father gave me the deed as part of my dowry. It was never meant for you. To ensure my comfort, my father chose the finest mansion, excellent location, superb feng shui, and lavishly designed layout. What a waste. You, Lu Si pointed at me, his cold smile turning bitter. Fine, very fine. Tao sure, you'd better never come begging me again. I cracked sunflower seeds, smiling faintly. It's better you never come back begging me. Me begging you? Dream on. As Lu Si finished speaking, he abruptly pulled back the curtain and strode away. A crowd had gathered outside to gawk. With no heart left for music, I took Chewy straight home. The moment I stepped through the door, I collided head-on with someone. The scent of premium dying incense wafted over me, subtle, not overpowering, yet it sent a shiver through my entire body. This must be Miss Tao? A familiar voice reached my ears. Frightened, I reached for Chuyi's hand, only to find her trembling even more violently than I was. My dear daughter. Father hurried over, his stout frame swaying. I quickly hid behind him and whispered, Father, weren't you in Jiangnan? Why are you back so soon? How could I not return upon hearing you divorced me? Father lowered his voice. We'll settle this later. I wasn't afraid of my father, but I was terrified of that man. My dear daughter. Father took my hand, his eyes crinkling into slits with a smile. This is young Master Lu, Zhongyu. I encountered bandits on the road, but thankfully young Master Lu came to our aid. He injured his hand and will be staying at our home for now. Young Master Lu, this is my daughter, Tao Tao. I was speechless. Silly old man. How could this cold-blooded killer possibly be injured by bandits? Miss Tao, I greet you with respect. I glanced up. He wore lotus blue robes, his familiar face adorned with a faint smile, a folding fan in hand, the very picture of a courteous gentleman. What a phony! My father droned on for ages. I wanted to bolt immediately, the faster, the farther, the better. Master! Trouble at the shop on Peace Street. The servant's arrival saved me. Hearing about the shop, my father immediately left. Young Master Liu, please make yourself at home. I'll be back shortly. I gave Liu Zhongyu a perfunctory smile and turned to flee. Before I could take 2 steps, my hand was grabbed. Before I could react, the world spun, and when I regained my senses, I was already in his arms. You. What are you doing? This is my house. I turned to call for Chuyi's help, only to see her trembling in fear. Forget it, she's even more timid than I am. Miss Tao, how have you been? Liu Zhongyu's finger traced my red lips. 3 years have passed. Did you marry? Did you divorce? His touch sent a shiver through my body, leaving me speechless. Didn't we agree you'd marry me? Liu Zhongyu sighed, a hint of sorrow in his voice. You sure ran away fast. His mention of the past ignited my anger. I shoved him away. You deceived me first. Liu Zhongyu showed no anger, only gazed at me with a lingering look. My conscience gnawed at me. I grabbed Chuyi and dashed back to my room, slamming the doors and windows shut. Miss, I'm scared. Chuyi pouted, on the verge of tears. I'm scared too. To understand Liu Zhongyu, we must go back to when I was 15 and secretly married once. At 12, my father sent me to Jiangnan to recuperate due to poor health. Jiangnan's feng shui was excellent, and after 2 years of convalescence, I felt much better. But I didn't want to return to the capital. I simply had someone deceive my father into believing I was still unwell, secretly roaming all over Jiangnan. On my 15th birthday, Chuyi encouraged me to visit a brothel to broaden my horizons. We disguised ourselves as men but ended up at the South Wind Pavilion by mistake, where we saw Liu Zhongyu being auctioned off. He was strikingly handsome. After 3 cups of wine, I waved my hand generously and bought him for 10,000 taels of silver. I don't recall what happened that night. I only remember waking up aching all over, with Liu Zhongyu sitting beside me, looking fragile and saying, Miss, from now on, I am yours. What? I thought my ears were deceiving me. A grown man telling a young woman, I am yours? That seemed a bit off. Miss, you wish to renege? Liu Zhongyu raised a hand, wiping away tears. This servant has given you everything. I felt a chill. Wasn't I the one who'd been cheated? You. I steeled myself to speak. What do you want? To take responsibility for this servant, of course. Liu Zhongyu took my hand, her voice soft and gentle. When would be a good time for us to marry, young lady? Marry? I swallowed hard, remembering my father had arranged a fiancé for me in the capital. Suddenly, I didn't know what to do. Last night. I tried to brush off last night's events, but Liu Zhongyu flicked me with her handkerchief. Ugh, there'll be plenty of chances later. No. That's not what I meant. Isn't getting married a bit too soon? My mind was a muddle, so I could only come up with another excuse. Not too soon at all. Miss, just redeem me now, and we'll marry tonight. Meeting Liu Zhongyu's expectant gaze, I understood everything. So he wanted me to buy his freedom. Humph. Men. I figured being alone in Jiangnan would be boring, so I bought Liu Zhongyu's freedom. I thought it wouldn't matter if I returned to the capital later, I could always pay him off if needed. After all, money was the last thing I lacked. Little did I know Liu Zhongyu insisted on marrying me. I had no choice but to compromise, arranging a simple ceremony on the first day of the month to placate him. Liu Zhongyu was handsome and obedient. At one point, I even considered bringing him back to the capital. But then tragedy struck. Half a year after our marriage, I fell into the water by accident. He saved me, but when I woke up, he was a different person. His gaze toward me always held a hint of coldness. He wasn't as obedient as before and rarely smiled. I thought his gloom stemmed from catching a chill, so I had servants bring him treasures of gold, silver, and jade to cheer him up. But he showed no joy, only growing more silent and withdrawn. That night, I awoke in the middle of the night to find him gone. Hu Chu and I rose to search for him. We stumbled upon him standing with hands clasped behind his back beneath a large tree in the back garden. Before him knelt a man clad in black. Whatever they discussed, Lu Zhongyu suddenly grabbed the man by the throat, plunging a dagger into his abdomen. In the moonlight, I could clearly see him twist the blade before tossing the body aside like a discarded rag. Chuyi and I, raised sheltered since childhood, had never even seen a chicken slaughtered. We nearly screamed in terror. I covered Chuyi's mouth and dragged her away. I warned her not to give herself away if she didn't want to die. Neither of us slept well that night. Every time we closed our eyes, the image of that black-clad man's death flashed before us. The next day, I decided to run. What man could be more important than my own life? I tried every trick to avoid Lu Zhongyu, but he was like a shadow that wouldn't leave me alone. I strolled through the garden, and he played the zither in the pavilion over the lake. I stepped out, and he coincidentally appeared. I thought hiding indoors would work, but he actually climbed through the window. What the hell do you want? I couldn't take it anymore, clenching my fists. I never provoked you. Never provoked me? Lu Zhongyu reclined on the soft couch, clad in crimson robes. Miss Tao? Trying to deny it now? I've always been drawn to beautiful people, regardless of gender. What first captivated me about Lu Zhongyu was his face, truly breathtaking. Seeing him now, lying on the soft couch with that alluring air, somehow reminded me of Bao Si and Daji. Truly, a man's beauty can be a curse. My face burned hot. I turned away, struggling for words until finally managing, "Then what exactly do you want?" At this, Lu Zhongyu perked up, rolling over to sit on the embroidered stool beside the couch. My household currently lacks a proper lady of the manor. It would be fitting to bring you home, after all, we are already married. It would be perfectly legitimate. The mere suggestion terrified me to my core. I hurriedly shut all the doors and windows. If father found out I'd been married before Lucia, he'd chop me up and serve me as a side dish. Oh, my dear, so eager? Lu Zhongyu's smile nearly spilled over. Perhaps we should inform your father first? If father-in-law holds it against me, the son-in-law won't be able to bear the blame. Impatient? I quickly covered his mouth, gritting my teeth as I whispered, "Listen, don't say anything reckless, or else." Before I could finish, Lu Zhongyu suddenly pulled my hand and kissed it, grinning suggestively. My dear, or else what? His kiss made my face flush instantly, and the words on the tip of my tongue vanished. Daughter, in a moment, your father. Father's voice drifted in with the sound of the door opening. I stiffened and turned my head, locking eyes with him. You too. Father's eyes widened. Realizing the situation, he swiftly shut the door, pulling the newly arrived Chuyi along with him. Where did she go? Chuyi, go fetch a doctor. Father, it's not what it looks like. I tried to explain, lunging forward only to grab thin air. Father dragged Chuyi away at breakneck speed. They nearly took a tumble around the corner. I had always been frail and sickly. The courtyard was the quietest part of the estate, with few servants attending. Now that Chuyi was gone, the other servants sensed the situation and quickly slipped away. Lu Zhongyu. My lady, rest assured. I will have my family send the betrothal gifts soon. We'll complete all the formalities, the 3 letters and 6 rites, and ensure you enter the Lu household in style. Who wants to enter his Lu family's door? I pointed at him, unable to utter a word for a long while. I didn't know Lu Zhongyu's true background, but judging by how swiftly he killed back then, his family must be bandits or murderers who plundered lives and property, right? I took 2 steps back, noticing Lu Zhongyu's smile seemed to grow more cruel and bloodthirsty. You. My words stumbled out. Who exactly are you? What do you want? What's your purpose? Me? Lu Zhongyu looked utterly innocent. I'm your jade lover. Your husband. That jade lover title was something we'd used when our passion burned bright. But hearing it now sent chills down my spine. How had I never noticed before how sickeningly sappy that nickname was? Don't talk nonsense. I didn't want to say more, so I turned and ran. Lu Zhongyu didn't chase after me. He just leaned against the doorway watching. From a distance, I couldn't make out the expression on his face, but I felt an inexplicable sense of sadness emanating from him. It must have been my eyes playing tricks on me. The one who should be feeling sad right now was me. Dan got back from the shop until evening. He seemed in a good mood, humming a tune under his breath, his jowls jiggling with each step. "Hey, girl, what are you doing here?" Dad grinned, his eyes squinting into slits, a comical sight. "Dad, Lu Zhongyu and we're nothing. I rushed to explain, but father cut me off. Tao Tao. He took my hand, sighing deeply. I was blind back then. That scoundrel Lucy made you endure a divorce decree after only 2 years of marriage. But you can't stay unmarried forever, can you? You're my only daughter. Our whole family depends on you. This Lu Zhongyu seems decent to me, a good man. If you marry him, let him live in our house. Any children born will carry the Tao surname. That way, our family legacy will have an heir." I thought my father had misunderstood, but it turned out he was playing matchmaker again. Dad loves matchmaking, but the only union he ever successfully arranged was mine with Lucy. Too bad we ended up divorced. Looks like he hasn't given up yet, ready to meddle with his own daughter again. Dad genuinely took a liking to Lu Zhongyu, practically interrogating him about 18 generations of his ancestors. Learning his forefathers were officials and his father passed the imperial exams made him even more pleased. If I hadn't just gotten divorced, he'd probably be forcing us to marry immediately. I didn't believe Lu Zhongyu's made-up story, so I asked him privately if it was true. He was surprisingly honest. Of course it's fake. My ancestors were butchers. Butchers? I recalled Lu Zhongyu's deafness when he killed people. You know what? It actually resembled butchering quite a bit. I noticed father-in-law seemed quite pleased with me earlier, Lu Zhongyu remarked with a hint of pride. Rest assured, my dear. Once my family matters are settled, the first thing I'll do upon returning to the capital is come to propose. At the word propose, I rolled my eyes. Sorry, but this lady has opera to attend. Marry Lu Zhongyu? Forget it. Who knows when I'd end up as pork on the chopping block, cut into pieces by him. I grabbed Chewy and headed out, but Lu Zhongyu trailed behind us at a leisurely pace. What are you following me for? I was boiling with anger. I'm going out. You should focus on healing your injuries. Recovering was Lu Zhongyu's own idea, he'd acted it out to deceive my father. Wasn't he going to see the charade through? My injuries are healed, Lu Zhongyu declared, stretching his legs and arms. Besides, the doctor said walking outdoors would aid my recovery. I couldn't argue with that. One more person wouldn't hurt, so I let him tag along. Thankfully, he didn't cause trouble. He just quietly followed behind me. I was watching the play from the second floor and soon forgot about him, laughing and joking with Chewy as we pointed at the actors. We were leaning on the railing, laughing non-stop, completely oblivious to the people beside us. Suddenly, something slammed into us hard. The railing wasn't very high. The impact knocked Chewy and me off balance, and we were about to fall. A pair of strong hands suddenly grabbed me from behind. His grip was powerful, and I was yanked backward. Chewy was the unlucky one, pulled along with me, she crashed straight onto the ground. I braced myself for the fall too, but Lu Zhongyu's face loomed before mine, my heart racing wildly. His gaze was gentle, just like when we first started dating. He always looked at me like that, and I'd always been helpless against it, once completely lost in his tender embrace. Now, it seemed I was about to fall into the same trap again. Madame Tao! A voice crackling with fury shattered the intimate moment. I instinctively pushed Lu Zhongyu away, hastily smoothing my robes before turning to face the man across from us. It was Lu Ci. No one else called me Madame Tao anymore. By Lu Ci's side stood Yin Yang, watching the commotion, and the little girl they held by the hand, Yuer. If one ignored Lu Ci's furious glare, they truly looked like a loving family of 3. I'm terribly sorry, madam. Yue didn't mean to bump into you just now. Please forgive her, madam. She's still just a child. Yue was still just a little girl, and as she spoke, tears began to fall, making her look utterly pitiful. I don't blame you. I had no desire to quarrel with a child. And what's with all this madam nonsense? My surname is Tao, and I'm not even married yet. The words had barely left my mouth when Lucii clenched his teeth and spat out 2 words, Madam Tao. Lord Lu, what brings you here? I'd intended to ignore him, but here he was, practically shoving himself into my path. Truth be told, Lucii and I were like thorns in each other's sides. Wherever I went, he seemed to appear. You shameless woman! Embraced a man in broad daylight. Lucii's face twisted with fury. Had he not restrained himself for his position, far harsher words would have flown. Who I embrace is none of your concern. Lord Lu, mind your own affairs. Our divorce had caused quite a stir in the capital. I'd never paid it much mind, but those around me kept bringing it up, and I'd overheard enough. Outsiders knew nothing of the truth, but Yin Yang, the woman by his side, loved to flaunt things. This led many to learn he kept a concubine and fathered a daughter, inevitably labeling him ungrateful. It caused him no end of trouble in official circles. You. Lucii caught the mockery in her tone, his anger and frustration boiling over. So this is the esteemed magistrate Lu, whose reputation precedes him. Lu Zhongyu stepped forward, offering a perfunctory bow. I've long heard tales of you using your former in-law's money to support a mistress. Seeing her in person today, I must say, she's not particularly striking. Yin Yang was actually quite attractive, but standing beside Lu Zhongyu's face, she seemed utterly ordinary. What nonsense are you spouting? Lucii detested nothing more than accusations about his reliance on his in-laws. Whether I speak nonsense or not, the whole world has eyes to see, Lu Zhongyu declared, his gaze sweeping over the onlookers as he raised his voice. The Tao family funded your education and imperial examinations, yet you used their money to support a mistress. You divorced your wife shortly after passing the provincial exams. Who else would do such a thing? Those gathered here were all wealthy and powerful families, people who valued their reputation and dignity. Even if they had grievances with their wives, as long as no heinous crimes were committed, who wouldn't continue to support them properly? Whether divorce or separation, it brought disgrace to both families. Lucii's face darkened as he listened to their whispers, wishing he could shut their mouths immediately. This young master and the Miss Tao seemed quite intimate. Yin Yang observed them with cautious suspicion. They must have known each other for more than just a day or two, right? Women weren't like men. Men could keep mistresses and only face a few words of criticism, but women were different. Just as I was about to speak, Lu Zhongyu beside me interjected softly, as it happens, I met Miss Tao on the very day Lord Lu divorced her. I saved her father that day. We've known each other for some time now, but surely not as long as Lord Lu has known his concubine? Yin Yang's smile froze on her face, seemingly at a loss for words. I, however, was pleased. Grabbing Chu-yi, I called out to Lu Zhongyu, Mr. Lu, let's go. No need to waste breath on strangers. As we passed by, I caught Lucii's gritted teeth as he spat, Tao Shi, a woman who abandons her wifely duties like you? I'd find it filthy to take you as a concubine. Lu Zhongyu stood beside me and naturally heard it. Seeing his clenched fists, I feared he might kill someone in broad daylight. Terrified, I quickly stepped in front of him. Who said I'd be your concubine? Do you really think just because you passed the imperial examination, every maiden in the land is yours for the taking? If your brain isn't working right, find a doctor to check it out. Save the people from your future misdeeds. With that, I grabbed Lu Zhongyu and ran. If this man really killed Lucii, wouldn't my family be ruined too? He's staying at my house right now. My dear, what are you afraid of? Lu Zhongyu resumed his gentle, harmless demeanor. Shut up. I pulled him into the room and motioned for Chi to stay outside. What are you shouting about out there? You and Lucii are divorced now. We'll be together sooner or later. Lu Zhongyu spoke with absolute certainty. I stomped my feet in fury, but there was nothing I could do about him. I could only wave my sleeve and drag Chui away. Lu Zhongyu had thick skin. No matter how I snubbed him, he just grinned and followed me. After a while, I just let him be. As New Year's Eve approached, the capital grew increasingly bustling. My father asked me several times, both directly and indirectly, what I thought of Lu Zhongyu. Each time, I changed the subject, unwilling to answer. Lu Zhongyu was ruthless, killing people as easily as slaughtering chickens. Our family was just ordinary merchants, without power or influence. Getting involved with someone like him, who knew if it would bring blessing or curse? Standing in the courtyard, I sighed. Chui draped a cloak over my shoulders and whispered, "Miss, please go rest. It's late. Don't catch a chill." I said nothing, staring blankly at the golden rain tree in the yard. "Chui, do you think father wants me to marry sooner, or have children sooner? My mother passed away early, and father never remarried. I am his only daughter. He has said more than once that he hopes I will have 2 children someday, choosing one to bear the Tao surname. Your father wants you to have someone to rely on, so you won't be alone. Is that so?" The words left my mouth, and I immediately sensed something was wrong. That voice wasn't Chuyi's, it sounded more like Lu Zhongyu's. I turned my head with difficulty and saw Lu Zhongyu standing there, hands behind his back. His usual playful expression was gone, replaced by a seriousness that looked rather frightening in the night. "You. What are you doing here? Where's Chuyi?" My heart was racing, my mind filled with images of him killing people. Was he planning to kill me tonight? Tao, I need to leave the capital for a while. Lu Zhongyu's gaze was complex, as if he wanted to say more, but in the end, he remained silent. Hearing he was leaving, I thought I'd feel relieved, finally free of this killing machine, but instead, my heart felt oddly hollow. I need to handle some family matters, but I'll return as soon as possible. Unavoidable worry crept into my mind, and my concern slipped out. "Are you sure you won't get into trouble?" "Of course I won't." Lu Zhongyu took 2 steps forward, his voice softening considerably. "I promise to come to your family to present the betrothal gifts. I'm not a man who breaks his word." My mouth opened, but no words came out. The faint scent of dying incense lingered on my nose, mingled with the scent that masked the smell of blood. Tao. Lu Zhongyu leaned forward, and before I could react, he pulled me into his embrace. "Wait for me." I didn't know what to say. When he released me, I turned and walked away. His figure quickly vanished into the night. I hurried after him, but the long corridor was deserted, utterly empty. My heart felt just as empty. With Lu Zhongyu gone, the house felt eerily quiet. Even Chui couldn't help sighing. "Miss, he seemed so intimidating before, but now that he's gone, the house feels lifeless." I ate my pastries in silence, a pang of sadness in my heart. I wondered where he was now, if he was safe, if he was eating well. Half a month after Lu Zhongyu left, heavy snow fell on the capital. It was New Year's Eve. At the dinner table, only father and I sat, staring at each other without speaking. Finally, father couldn't hold back. "Child, did young Master Lu say when he'd return?" "Father, how should I know? Don't play dumb with me." Father slammed down his chopsticks and snorted. "Do you think I can't see his feelings for you? And you, why haven't you been going to listen to music or watch plays? Lost your heart's desire and no longer have the spirit?" Only then did I realize that since Lu Zhongyu left, I hadn't been to any performances for quite some time. Every day, I'd have Chui bring a reclining chair, and I'd lie under the locust tree, lost in thought. "Father, I have something to tell you." I considered telling him about the incident from years ago. Worst case, he'd give me a beating. Dad stared at me intently. Just as I was gathering my thoughts, Chui rushed in, breathless. "Master! Miss! Outside! Outside!" Chui was panting so hard she couldn't form a complete sentence. Father handed her a cup of water. "Calm down. What's the rush? Lu Ci is here." Chui finally caught her breath after drinking the water. "What's he doing here? Coming for the New Year's feast? Did he get the wrong place?" I couldn't bear to hear Lu Ci's name right now. That man was like a persistent ghost, utterly detestable. No, he brought a huge number of soldiers. They've They've surrounded the entire estate. Clatter! My chopsticks fell to the floor. I couldn't believe it. What was Lucy up to? When they brought me out, Lucy stood before the mansion gates. His soldiers, each holding a torch, stood with their noses in the air. The Taus, however, were a different story. The usually grand Tau residence was now being ransacked. All the servants had been dragged out, even the house cat was being paraded before him. "What do you think you're doing?" Father was so furious his beard bristled. "Lucy, I saw your talent years ago and sponsored your education for the imperial exams. I even promised Tao to you. Even after your divorce, I said nothing. What is this now? Personal vengeance?" Lucy's eyes darkened instantly at the mention of the past, as if someone had stepped on his tail. "Sponsor? You pitied me, didn't you? Think a few stinking coins make you special? Your family always looked down on me, didn't you?" Father was genuinely enraged, clutching his chest as he gasped for breath. I hurried to support him, helping him steady his breathing. "I told you, the day would come when you'd beg me." Lucy waved to the men behind him. "Take them away." Holding on to my father, I dared not make a move, following the soldiers who pushed us along. Locked in a cell, I had no idea what had happened. The neighboring cells were filled with servants from the Tao family, their wails making my head ache. "Father, are you all right?" I peered through the cell door, concern etched on my face. Father was getting older, his health steadily declining. Normally well cared for, now tossed into the cell, he must be both furious and anxious. "I'm fine," Father remained surprisingly composed. "That Lucy I truly misjudged him back then. My daughter, I'm sorry." I offered him a few words of comfort before glancing toward the cell entrance. "Miss, what are you looking at?" Chu Yi's eyes were red. At least they grabbed a cloak when we were arrested. "I'll spread it here. You should rest early, miss. No rush." I turned, gathered the cloak, and handed it to Father. "I'm waiting for Lucy to come explain himself." "He's coming?" Father looked puzzled. "It's New Year's Eve, and so late. Why would he come?" "To see us in our pitiful state, of course." I'd crossed paths with Lucy on and off for over 2 years. I prided myself on understanding his dark little schemes. Now that he was riding high, trampling my family underfoot, he'd surely come to gloat. The cries from the cells soon died down. Father and Chuyi drifted off to sleep, and I dozed while waiting. Before long, the sound of a cell door opening echoed from the far end. Standing there was none other than Lucy. He wore his regular attire. In the dim candlelight, I recognized the fabric of his clothes. Shoe brocade. He's really made it big. "Madam Tao, if you confess now, this official might show mercy to your family. I could take you as a concubine." Lucy looked down on me from above. From my angle, I couldn't see his expression, but I could easily imagine his smug satisfaction and disdainful gaze. I braced myself against the wall and rose, moving closer to the cell door. "Lord Lu, do you not fear censure from the censorate for settling personal grudges in this manner? Though our Tao family is merely an ordinary merchant house, we have never committed any violation of the law." "Humph." Lucy sneered coldly. "Blame it on your family having offended someone. Finding a charge against you is the easiest thing in the world." Offended someone? I truly had no idea whom the Tao family might have offended. Though I don't handle business affairs, Father has always been extremely cautious in his dealings. How could he have offended anyone? "Bribing officials, I've even thought of the charges for you." Lucy smoothed his robes. "Confiscate their property. Exile the men. Turn the women into official courtesans." I took 2 deep breaths to barely suppress the rage boiling inside me. Lucy was truly despicable. "Then I hope you get your wish," I sneered coldly. "But let me remind you, the current emperor is no fool." Lucy paid no heed to my words, sweeping his sleeve as he departed, leaving only one sentence: "You think His Majesty will come save your family? Don't be foolish. Better start thinking about whether you'll beg me for mercy." Begging him was out of the question. I sat in the corner of the cell, waiting until dawn broke before rousing my father. Only after confirming he'd honestly run his business did I feel somewhat reassured. "Don't worry, daughter," father whispered soothingly. "Nothing will happen." Of course I knew he'd be fine. I was just furious. After our divorce, I believed I hadn't wronged Lucy in any way. Yet this man, repaying kindness with betrayal, now seemed determined to crush our family underfoot. When no one was looking, I tore open my skirt hem and pulled out a 100-tael silver note. I slipped it to the meal delivery guard, instructing him to find out which powerful figure Lucy had recently aligned himself with. My father was taken aback by my maneuver. "My girl, when did you learn to stash money?" Having been pampered and never wanting for anything, this act of hiding money genuinely surprised my old man. "Heh." I chuckled awkwardly. "To be honest, Lu Zhongyu taught me this trick. Back in Jiangnan, he must have endured quite a bit of hardship, always keeping some money tucked away in the lining of his clothes, just in case." I found it intriguing and had Chui copy him. Over the years, I've kept the habit. And now, it's come in handy. Lu Zhongyu. I wonder how he's doing now. "Miss, what are you thinking about?" Chui murmured softly. "You're not thinking about young Master Lu, are you? When did this girl get so sharp?" Chui propped her chin up and sighed slowly. "We're stuck in this prison, and we still have to worry about whether young Master Lu is doing something unsavory." Wait, what did she mean by shady business? Might as well say outright murder and robbery. After 2 days in prison, Lucy returned, this time bringing a large entourage. "Madame Tao, have you made up your mind?" Lucy stood at the doorway, hands behind his back, his arrogance palpable. "Become my concubine, and you'll suffer less physical torment." "You're dreaming." "Concubine? Pfft. Then don't blame me for being harsh." Lucy pointed at Chui. "Start with her. Interrogate her thoroughly. See if the Tao family has any other crimes." Chui was terrified. I shielded her behind me, but the jailers were incredibly strong and shoved me straight to the ground. "My daughter!" "Chui!" Father panicked. "Lucy, what do you think you're doing? Abusing your power? Don't get too cocky." "So what if I am cocky?" Lucy chuckled lightly. "Hurry up and interrogate her thoroughly." I cursed Lucy, that bastard, in my heart. I scrambled to my feet, trying to grab Chui, but my hand grasped at thin air. Chui was being dragged away by several officers, clearly terrified and crying the whole time. "Lucy, take it out on me instead." My heart raced with worry, yet I could only watch helplessly. Their retreating figures vanished quickly, soon replaced by Chui's piercing screams. "Lucy, I cursed his entire lineage in my mind, tears still welling up despite my efforts to hold them back. Chui had been by my side since childhood, timid and afraid of pain. Lucy was ruthless. I couldn't bear to think what tortures he'd inflict upon her. Chui's cries soon trailed off. Lucy returned with his men, this time pointing his finger at me. Amidst my father's furious curses, I actually felt relieved. At least following him would let me see how Chui was faring. Turning the corner at the end of the cell block revealed the execution site. Chui lay bound, her body covered in wounds, blood soaking through her clothes. She had already passed out. "Chui!" I tried to rush to her side, but the guards behind me held me back with iron grip. Lucy waved his hand, and several guards bound me beside Chui. "Tao, sure, I'll give you one last chance," Lucy said calmly, sipping tea beside the torture device. "If you're willing to bring your dowry and enter the Lu family, I won't make things difficult for you." "You want money?" His goal might not be revenge at all, but the Tao family's wealth. Our family lacked everything except money, and my father had only me as a daughter. To put it bluntly, once my father died, everything would be mine. "Whether it's you or your family's money, if I deem it worthy, consider it your good fortune." "Pa. Keep that so-called fortune." Seeing I wouldn't budge, Lucy lost his patience and signaled to someone nearby. A jailer approached, wielding a whip tipped with barbed hooks. Such a whip, when struck with force, could tear flesh from the body. Dipped in salt water, it inflicted agony worse than death. The jailer swung the whip, and I instinctively closed my eyes. The expected agony never came. Instead, the ropes binding me slackened. I lost my balance and fell into a warm embrace. The familiar scent of Du Huang filled my nostrils. My eyes snapped open to find Lu Zhongyu's face staring back at me. "Why are you here?" I was dazed. "What are you doing here?" "To save you." Lu Zhongyu smiled. "Good thing I made it in time." His smile was gentle, his eyes brimming with starlight, making me blush involuntarily. This man was truly a demon. "Who are you?" "This is the Ministry of Justice's prison." Lu Xi roared, "Seize him! Seize him!" Lu Zhongyu shot a cold glance at the guard before turning back with his gentle expression. "Close your eyes." I obediently complied. Soon, the clang of blades and screams reached my ears, mixed with Lu Xi's trembling voice. I clamped my eyes shut, my limbs numb with cold. My mind was filled with the image of him stabbing someone. Back then, I was young. Witnessing him kill someone terrified me so much I fell ill several times. For years afterward, I'd have nightmares replaying that scene. Even now, the memory still terrified me. Lu Zhongyu finished quickly and led me out. Halfway down the corridor, hurried footsteps approached from ahead. I opened my eyes to see the lead figure was none other than a palace eunuch. "Your lordship." The eunuch quickened his pace, stepping forward to bow. "Your lordship, may you be well. His Majesty sends me to request your presence at the palace." "Marquis?" I looked at Lu Zhongyu beside me in astonishment. He was a marquis? This place. Lu Zhongyu hesitated. The eunuch immediately understood. "Rest assured, your lordship. His Majesty is already aware of the Tao family's situation. He specifically sent me to deliver his decree. The Tao family is innocent and may return home immediately. The matters that followed will be investigated by others." Lu Zhongyu turned to me and whispered, "You two go back first. I'll find you once I'm done here." Still dazed, I found myself back in the carriage with father before I knew it. The entire Tao family had been released and now followed behind our carriage in a grand procession. Chuyi's injuries looked terrifying, so we summoned a doctor that very night after returning home. Thankfully, nothing vital was harmed. With proper treatment, the wounds would heal without scarring. By the time everything was settled, it was already midnight. I crawled into bed drowsy and fell asleep. The next day, I fell ill. The doctor said it was from fright. Lying listlessly in bed, I thought about Lu Zhongyu. I never imagined, not in a million years, that he was actually a marquis. Back then, I had actually bought a marquis? It wasn't until the third day after we returned home that Lu Zhongyu came. Late at night, he climbed through the window. I happened to be sitting on the bedside reading. He draped his fox fur cloak over me and sat beside me. "I heard you're ill. Did that day frighten you?" Lu Zhongyu asked softly. I had indeed been frightened. "Tao Tao, I never lied to you." Lu Zhongyu's voice carried a hint of resignation. "When I met you back then, I had lost my memory and didn't know who I was. It wasn't until I saved you from drowning that my memories returned. I never imagined the truth would be like this. No wonder a marquis ended up in such dire straits back then. Then why did you lose your memory?" My curiosity was piqued. My father was the Marquis of Jianin. I was his legitimate eldest son by his first wife. My stepmother, coveting the title, conspired with my second younger brother to frame me. They caused me to fall off a cliff on my way back to the capital. I survived, but I lost my memory. My interest perked up. "Then how did you end up at Nanfeng Pavilion?" I didn't know who I was back then, and I had no money. I was begging along the road when the Madam of Nanfeng Pavilion saw me. She thought I was handsome and brought me back. You know the rest. I opened my mouth but said nothing, wanting to ask why he'd killed someone back then, yet unsure how to broach the subject. Lu Zhongyu took the initiative to speak of it. Later, my stepmother's people discovered me. They sent assassins again. That day, the men came disguised as my father's men, claiming they were here to escort me home. I saw through them and killed one immediately. I intended to take you back to the Marquis's residence with me, but they hadn't come alone. With so many assassins, Lu Zhongyu feared a fight in the courtyard might harm me, so he deliberately led them far away. By the time he finally dealt with them and dragged his wounded body back, I had already fled with Chui. I searched for you afterward, but before I could find you, my aunt found me. She said my father was gravely ill and ordered me to return immediately. I never imagined so much had transpired back then. Returning home to face the family's power struggles, Lu Zhongyu stood utterly alone. The peril he faced was unimaginable. The constant infighting at home made me afraid to seek you out, fearing they might target you. Only after my father passed and I successfully inherited the title, with my stepmother and younger brother imprisoned, could I finally come find you. You. My heart ached for him, stinging in my eyes. Had I known, I would have waited for him to return and asked for a clear explanation. Then none of this would have happened. Tao Tao. Lu Zhongyu's gaze grew brighter in the candlelight. This time, don't be afraid of me. When Lu Zhongyu came to propose, father smiled all day. Chui and I sat in the back garden sipping tea while examining the betrothal gifts. The gifts were lavish, all gold, jade, and jewels I adored. Miss, young Master Lu truly spared no effort. Chui had completely switched sides by now. Far better than that Lu Xi. Speaking of Lu Xi, I hadn't heard a word about him since he was released from prison. Not that I couldn't find out, I simply didn't have the time. After clearing things up with Lu Zhongyu, we spent ages getting cozy. Now that he's formally presented his betrothal gifts, I'm back to embroidering my dowry. Who has time for Lu Xi? Oh, miss, I heard Lu Xi got dismissed from his post. He was so arrogant before because he hooked up with the Chancellor and was going to marry the Chancellor's daughter. I glanced at the betrothal goose they'd sent and curled my lip. Who cares? What does that have to do with me? Miss, there's something else you'll definitely find interesting. Chui leaned in with a mischievous look. Word is that Yin Yang absconded with all the money. And their daughter, that Yuer, turns out she's not even Lu Xi's biological child. She's Yin Yang's child with someone else. Lu Xi was furious and sold her off to a brothel. I gasped. Seeing how Lu Xi doted on Yuer back then, it was genuine affection. Never imagined she wasn't his own flesh and blood. How could Lu Xi not be furious? Enough. Don't dwell on it. After a moment's thought, I decided not to press further. We should just sort through the items properly. They'll need to be packed into the dowry chest later. Chui propped her chin on her hand and shook her head. Miss, you're marrying next door. What's there to sort? I heard young Master Lu even hired masons to build a door in the west wall, so you can visit your family home whenever you like. Lu Zhongyu had no residence in the capital, so he petitioned the emperor to grant us the mansion next door as our marquisate. That mansion belonged to a disgraced minister of the previous dynasty, twice the size of the Tao residence, and was now nearly restored. My father said, "This is a man who truly cares. Marrying someone like him is bound to be right." The wedding was grand, with the emperor even sending the crown prince to witness the ceremony. Life after marriage was as pleasant as our days in Jiangnan. Where are we going? I asked, puzzled as the carriage headed out of the city. Lu Zhongyu didn't answer, instead bringing up another matter. By the way, the emperor mentioned the Tao family recently. He seemed quite familiar with them. My father bribed the emperor, I replied casually. Truth be told, Lu Xi had been half right back then. Father had indeed bribed someone, not an official, but the emperor himself. Years prior, our dynasty had waged war against the Xiongnu. Though victorious, the treasury had been severely depleted. Those 2 years coincided with disastrous famines, compounding the crisis. My father then funneled the bulk of his wealth to the emperor, at least giving the imperial court some breathing room. After that, every year my father contributed the lion's share of his wealth to the national treasury. No wonder you weren't the least bit anxious in prison, Lu Zhongyu sighed with a smile. I thought I was the hero saving the damsel in distress, but it turns out I wasn't. I smiled but said nothing. Though the treasury had grown somewhat more plentiful these past 2 years, the emperor still harbored ambitions to invade the state of Qin, a venture that demanded funds. Father, if nothing else, was a master at making money. The emperor counted on him to turn wealth into more wealth, to keep the money flowing endlessly. How could he possibly watch our family perish? Lu Xi seized his chance to climb into the chancellor's favor, but the chancellor backed the emperor's brother in a plot to rebel with stolen funds. Once the Chancellor learned of Lu Xi's connection to me, he pressured Lu Xi to target our family, demanding he seize our wealth. Lu Xi's masterstroke was timing his move to New Year's Eve when the imperial court sealed its records. News of the Tao family's crisis couldn't reach the emperor's ears anytime soon. Had he acted sooner, I might truly have died. Even now, the memory sends a chill down my spine. Just as Lu Zhongyu wrapped his arms around me to offer comfort, the guards' voices suddenly echoed outside. "Who's that madman? Get lost!" I lifted the curtain to peek out and saw a ragged man lunging toward the carriage. It was Lu Xi. "Tao Tao, I was wrong. Please come back. You're my wife, come back." I frowned. Lu Xi seemed slightly unhinged. "Tao Tao. Lady Tao. You unfaithful woman. You abandoned me to climb the social ladder." Lu Xi's words instantly enraged Lu Zhongyu. He raised his hand to signal the guards to strike him down, but I quickly stopped him. "Forget it. Killing him would be too easy. Let him go mad." Only then did Lu Zhongyu signal his guards, who promptly grabbed Lu Xi and tossed him aside onto the road. The carriage pressed onward, Lu Xi's voice fading into the distance behind us. "By the way, you still haven't told me where we're going." Lu Zhongyu smiled tenderly. "Naturally, I'm taking my wife to the south." The end.